Every summer for the past 12 years, the National Bureau of Economic Research has brought promising PhD candidates interested in the economics of entrepreneurship to Cambridge, Massachusetts for a week of study with leading scholars in this vitally important field. Supported by the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation, the Entrepreneurship Research Bootcamp has enabled students from dozens of universities to jumpstart their research by learning about emerging questions and techniques in this field. The camp has drawn early career scholars to the study of entrepreneurship, enhanced the quality of dissertations, and been the launchpad for many research collaborations.
Entrepreneurship is not a discipline or a field, it's a phenomenon. It's widely understood to be an incredibly important phenomenon for the economy as a whole, but it's an incredibly challenging thing to study.
One of the central lessons of economics research over the past 75 years has been the role that entrepreneurship and innovation play in economic growth and ultimately in prosperity. Economic growth is not a matter of how many people we have, it's not a matter of just how much capital equipment's out there, but instead it's how people and capital are combined through technology, through knowledge, through science that ultimately shapes our overall economic performance.
One of the reasons why this boot camp is so special is that we're able to bring people here to teach in the boot camp who are the very experts in each of these disciplines, people whose work has made significant contributions to how we understand entrepreneurship and innovation. So the students are learning from people who are out on the very frontiers of what we know. Of course, the second thing that makes the boot camp so special are the students themselves.
Macro labor economics, focusing on the role of firms in inequality.
The interplay of the intermediaries like venture capitalists and the startups.
Climate finance and livelihood in West Africa.
Entrepreneurial finance and bankruptcy and innovation.
Venture capital and innovation.
We have the best PhD students from all around the world come to Cambridge for a week. They form great connections with one another, and the network that they build is something that they keep with them for the rest of their entire career.
Over the past quarter century, we've come to really have a good ability to measure and really systematically evaluate the impact of specific types of innovations and look at the measurable impact of innovation on the economy as we see new technologies get scaled up and ultimately contribute to productivity growth. One of the key insights there has been the special role that entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship plays in that process. Entrepreneurs serve as the source of business dynamism, bringing new ideas, new technologies, sometimes in cooperation with established firms, sometimes in competition.
If you go to people around the world, I travel a lot, and you ask people, name the biggest firms you most admire in America. They've almost all been started, in fact, in the last 30 years. So I think entrepreneurship's a huge driver of productivity growth. But it's certainly true if you look in the data, the biggest, most successful firms recently don't seem to have generated a lot of productivity growth. So maybe we need the right type of firms, or maybe we need more firms. I don't know what it is, and this is in a sense where research is really critical to understand what is it we're missing in entrepreneurship that seems to be holding back growth.
One of the things that we've seen is that the amount of money going to entrepreneurship, particularly in the form of venture capital and angel financing, has gone up, but it's become increasingly concentrated. It seems that there's relatively fewer large bets being made. When it works, like something like Uber, it's exciting, but you can imagine that the decline in the diversity of ideas that's being funded is perhaps problematic, and it may also be that having a single market winner also raises a whole series of questions and problems as well. It's much harder being an entrepreneur in many industries today, that if you're thinking about opening up a toy store and you have to compete with Walmart, it's a very daunting challenge that the information technology and logistics have just made it much more challenging to be essentially a small entrepreneur in many traditional businesses. On the other hand, in many new industries, the same kind of revolution in information technology has made it actually cheaper.
What we as economists are really interested in is to stimulate entrepreneurship that is transformative and that creates great new jobs and great new livelihoods. That unfortunately hasn't always worked when the government is intervening, say, into the venture capital industry. But what we have learned, what needs to be in place for a successful entrepreneurial environment is, number one, great universities that allow researchers to take their ideas to market. For that, you also need a venture capital industry or a financial industry that allows entrepreneurs to have access to risk capital. And then finally, we need an environment that rewards risk takers and that allows entrepreneurs to benefit from the investments that they're making.
One of the most important things that every good entrepreneur knows, and that includes good academic entrepreneurs, is that networking and building out a supportive community that enables you to accomplish what you need to accomplish is really important. And one of the great things about this group is you are a high-octane community of people who are thinking about entrepreneurship research, and you will, maybe not for a very long time, have the opportunity to interact with as many people who are as interested in the same questions that you are. And I hope that not only will you share ideas and be able to improve each other's research and support each other's research activities, but that you'll also be able to start collaborations, and that many of these network relationships will last for a very, very long time. And as we look back on the decades-long experience with the boot camp, one of the most rewarding discoveries is that there are partnerships which began when people were here spending their week during the summer interacting as graduate students